obstruct your ascent. They also can help to stabilize you. The conditioning comes to you from the matter with which we are dealing every day. When a human being sees a matter, he aggresses it. And he wants to use that matter for his own purpose. He changes the forms of the matter for his own purpose. He starts getting used to matter as comfort or as a help or a guide in life. The more you start depending on matter, the more your spontaneity is finished, because you are dealing with the dead. Matter, when it is dead, then only we deal with it. When it is living, we are not so much bothered about it. So the deadness of that matter settles within us when we start using that matter for our purpose. But how are we to otherwise exist is the question people can ask. If God has given us these material things and this matter to be used, are we not supposed to use them? And are we not supposed to enjoy them? But we don't enjoy really. Before realization, you cannot enjoy any matter. You can only form a habit and may become a slave of that matter before realization. It's a fundamental principle of economics that wants in general are never satiable. Means today you want to buy something like a carpet, alright, bought it. So now that carpet becomes a headache because it's your possession, you have to look after it. You have to insure it, you have to worry about it that it doesn't get spoiled, first of all. And secondly, you really get into another mood of buying something else. Now you have bought the carpet, finished. Then you have to have something else, then you have to have something else, then you have to have something else. So it does not satiate you. It does not give you the joy. Matter can never give you joy. It's the spirit that gives you joy. And when the ascent takes place, then you become the spirit. Then matter takes another value system within ourselves. The value system of matter is very different. As I am sure Jason must have told you, that when you get your realization, then you start feeling the cool breeze in the hand. In relationship to matter, it's very helpful to be realized. Because immediately you know what is good for you and what is bad. For example, you eat something that's not good for you. Immediately you lose your vibrations or you become hot. Even looking at it may happen. You want to sit on a chair on which somebody who is a very wrong type of a person has sat. Immediately you feel, oh, something wrong with this place. With your vibrations, which is a definite thing and absolute thing. And this conditioning can only be over. These habits can be overcome only if you become the spirit, because spirit is always dominated by the matter. And the spirit has to overcome that domination of the matter. Actually, spirit cannot be dominated by it. But what I mean is that it is covered, like the sun can be covered with clouds. In the same way, all our domination, or we can say all our enslavement of the matter makes us dominate our spirit in the sense that we cover it. The clouds are there. We can't see the spirit, we can't feel it. The spontaneity which is the beauty of the spirit we do not feel in a person. So in judging a person, what do we judge? How that person looks, what dress he's wearing, how he walks, what are his formal ways, does he know how to say thank you, sorry or not, you see. All these things impress us very much. What sort of a car he has, say, what sort of a house. Maybe we may miss a saint. We may miss Christ again because he was a carpenter's son. How are we to know who is Christ? Is there any way of finding out who is Christ? Many people are now talking, Christ is going to come, he's going to come on the television. You can put up anyone there as Christ. How are we going to make it out? By his dress or by some sort of a thing they have done? Most of the paintings of Christ and most of his statues that I have seen are nowhere near Christ. Nowhere near Christ. See, they are horrid things. I don't know what are they. So how will you make it out that this is Christ or not? Or this is some sort of a hocus pocus fellow or some sort of a person who has come just deliberately to delude us from reality. There is no way out to find out what is the truth, because we are so much used to material forms that we have. For example, our idea of art also is in the same way, molded. We like this kind of art. If you ask why? Because, this is this kind of a thing, harmony, or maybe this is more proportioned and all that. But how do you know? Because you've read certain books, or maybe that you have understood from somebody else that this is art, this is beautiful. I mean, you brand something as beautiful. But is it really? If it is beauty, it should be spirit. Because spirit is beauty and beauty is spirit. So is it beauty? How do you make out that this art is beautiful or not? For example, according to all normal ideas of womanhood, I don't think Mona Lisa is a beautiful woman. I mean, the way these days you see mosquito-like women are regarded as beautiful. So how they call Mona Lisa so beautiful? What's in her? Thousands of people would be assembled to see that painting. Why? What is that? Only vibrations will tell you that it emits vibrations. It appeals to your spirit without your knowledge. You are not aware of it. It appeals to your spirit. That's why universally that painting is appreciated. But when this conditioning becomes collective, any such conditioning becomes collective, and you accept this is the form that is beauty, this is the form that is reality, this is the form that is spontaneity, then the confusion starts. The confusion starts at that point, when it becomes a collective thing. For example, I met some people or some gurus. When I asked them, what makes you think that your guru is truthful? What has he given? He said, because sitting in my chair, I just start jumping by myself. I don't do it, but it happens, it's spontaneous. And in my presence, the way his body was moving was so horrifying. Anybody would have tremendous compassion and concern for such a person that who can't sit for 5 minutes.
Excuse me, it wasn't spontaneous, it was nervousness.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. But
You're very wrong in what you talk.
What?
About everything.
From where do you come?
Up the road.
That's it. Better go.
Well, you're my own.
Look at that. She'll go to the pub now. Must try to understand the subtleties, you see. If you are confirmed with what, now supposing somebody started jumping in the thing, and she says it's true, nerves. That means you are not in control of your nerves, isn't it? Don't you think so? You are not in control. You have not control. Spontaneity is a thing which is not the thing that makes you a slave. This is the point I am trying to bring. It doesn't, it makes you a master. Spontaneity must make you a master and not a slave of it. She must have come from TM because TM people jump like that. And they end up as epileptic people. I have cured so many of them. I don't know if someone has come from there. Even the head of their academy in Scotland, who was the Flying Squad Academy as I call it, where people paid 3,000. Now this gentleman sitting here is one of them who suffered. When they suffer, then they know what it is. The other day we saw somebody with epilepsy of such frequency, the poor child, he was hardly 26 years of age, young man, supposed to enjoy his life, was going into such trauma you can't imagine. And if this is happening to somebody going to a guru, you paid for it, how can it be anywhere near spirit? This is what I am trying to tell you. That spirit gives you spontaneity in which you are the master. You are the master of yourself. Complete master. No enslavement of any kind. No habits formation coming. All habits drop out. You become so spontaneous that I don't have to tell you. You just drop out all habits. And you become a master of yourself. That should happen to you. Instead of that, if you indulge into things which enslave you, you may like it for a while because you can't help it. But if you really sit down, you will know that it's not the thing that you wanted. You wanted to be the master of yourself. Now here in this map, as is shown, we have two powers, left and right powers. The left power is the power that gives us condition. Left side, the subconscious, the collective subconscious. That gives us the condition. Now, if you try to deny all that, then the right side is even worse. It gives us action, but with action, we can become very ego-oriented. So, both ways, it can be troublesome. Supposing you say that, all right, I'll have no conditioning of any type, what's wrong in doing this, what's wrong in doing that? And if you just move with that idea, with that freedom, it will be abandonment, it may not be freedom. Because freedom must have wisdom behind it. So both the sides, the movements on both the sides are wrong. So what is alright in the center is not to get conditioned by anything and not to be ego-oriented. But how to do it is the problem. The problem is how to do it. To be spontaneous is to be absolutely free. Now I would consider these two powers as, say, a brake and an accelerator in a car. Now you use both the powers. You use the brake first, you use the accelerator, you try to control these two powers. But first of all, it is difficult to understand how you to use these powers. Gradually, with practice, you know how to drive the car, you become the good driver. After becoming the good driver, still you are not the master of the driver. But then you become the master. So today the master within us is the spirit. But before realization, we are not the master. Because the master has not come in our conscious mind. It is not expressing in our conscious mind, in the sense that we are not empowered by its powers. The spirit exists, it has its own powers, but we haven't felt those powers within us. Once we feel the powers of the spirit, we are empowered by our own powers which are there. The powers are within us. These are our own powers. We don't have to borrow from anyone, ask from anyone, they are in ourselves. The spirit is within us. Only thing that spirit has to give light in our consciousness. It has to come in our consciousness. In simple medical terminology, we can say that the spirit must manifest itself in our central nervous system. So that we should know what we are doing. Not that we start just jumping on the chair, or some people said, oh, you just start doing it. It is a process. It's not correct. You are not in conscious mind. You are doing it out of hypnosis. Hypnosis may be coming from outside force. It's not your force, your awareness, your understanding, your power. It is somebody else's, because you are not doing it. As matter has a power to overpower us, in the same way, there are some material things, I should say, which are very dangerous, which are placed. For example, now cancer. Take cancer. Cancer overpowers. It's a very serious thing. Cancer overpowers you. You cannot overpower cancer. Take a very concrete example. Now, how is it caused? Doctor says this way, that way. Sahaja Yoga can cure cancer, definitely 100%. It can cure. It has cured. Many Sahaja Yogis have cured cancer. How? It's very simple. That you become master of yourself, and you master the disease also. You master everything. Because the master is within you. It has not come in your conscious mind. It's the only link is left. And when that happens, yoga takes place, union takes place. We should now completely keep ourselves limited to self-realization. About God, I'll tell you next time. Self-realization means to bring your spirit into your conscious mind. Now, how cancer is caused? Let's see here. What happens? It is caused by left-sided activity. Now, left-sided activities are emotional traumas, emotional problems, emotional upheavals, emotional insecurities. Any kind of insecurity can take you to the left side. Little more movement can be these horrible gurus, because they hypnotize. They put you to the left. They put some spirit in you, or I don't know what they do, but they put you to the left. Any one of these activities which are not authorized by God, taken to, you go to the left side. Because you cannot ascend in the center. So either you go to the left or to the right. When you overdo these things, it's like black magic. You have another thing here I've heard. Some sort of a organization had. And the fellow, you see, he used to, everything he saw moving in the house, he came to Sahaja Yoga, and his water jug was moving there, and this was moving there, and he couldn't explain what was happening in his room. He was sitting down and he found something moving from here to here. It happens. What is that? What is that doing this kind of a thing which you cannot control? Again we come to the same. Something you cannot control. So you enter into the realm where you are controlled and you are not under your control. And that realm, when you enter in, I have always seen all the cancer patients are the ones affected by this. Most surprising. They are not aware. They do not know how they get into it. For a lady, supposing say she's suffering from an insecurity about her husband, or maybe something, or maybe she thinks that her husband may leave her any time, she loves him, whatever it is. Such a woman might get a breast cancer. Because the insecurity is set in one of the centers there, which you can see here, the center of the heart. Center heart as we call it. Now, if this center goes out of order, if a woman feels insecure for anything whatsoever, she is capable, she is vulnerable to be attacked, and she can get into cancer. So we have to understand life in totality and not in one way. The total impact of life, the total effect of life, the total relationship with life must be understood. Now, no doctor knows this. Will he know? When he treats a patient for the, say, breast cancer, will he know that this lady is insecure? There's another disease, anorexia. Many girls suffer from it. They don't just eat, they just give up eating. Now, you do not know why it happens. Doctors can't cure it. Nobody can cure it. What is the reason? The relationship of a girl, of a daughter with a father. Say father dies and the daughter doesn't see the father, or she, in heart, she loves her father but she doesn't express it, or there's some bad relationship that comes between the father and the daughter, you get this double anorexia. You'll be amazed. But it is impossible for doctors to get it. We have some doctors sitting here. It is impossible for any medical science to go near it, because they do not see a human being in its totality. It's a very delicate instrument God has created. The way we are harsh with others, the way we sometimes try to trouble others, try to make others feel insecure, are unfair, unjust. Without our knowledge, we really give them a tremendous insecurity. And such insecurities can work out incurable diseases of which we are not aware. So to understand the totality, what should happen to us? We should achieve that state where we can see the totality. Like if I have to see now, for example, the whole of Brighton, what should I do? I should go on a plane and see it from that height. I can see the whole. In the same way, in your awareness, in your understanding, you should rise to that point from where you can see the whole. If you cannot see the whole, the partial vision, or we can say a little that you see, can create confusion, can create problems, and some of them could be of a very, very serious nature. Because as human beings, we do not know what are beings. This is the greatest problem of human beings, that they say, I don't like it. Now which one is this I? Is that your spirit or is that your ego? What is the part that is not liking it? Or is it your conditioning because you are brought up in a particular way so you don't like this? Which part of you is not liking it? And you'll be amazed that it is not your spirit. Because if spirit likes, how will you know? It's only through your vibrations. When you can feel the vibrations, then only you will say, yes, my spirit likes it, because the vibrations are emitted. So we are still in a transition state as human beings. We have not achieved that state which is called as the state of self-realization, where you become the spirit. The becoming is the point. When you become the spirit, you know what you like. You really know what you really like. Because you are now the reality. You are not any conditioning. You are no more any ego, but you are what you are really, and that is your spirit. And surprisingly, this spirit is a collective being. It's no artificial collectivity within us. That also, all right, we belong to all Brighton, so we are one, or we belong to one street, so we are one. It's not like that. But it's something that you are, absolutely, you are a collective being. And you start feeling that collectivity within you, with these different centers working it out. And you can feel it, others. You can feel others on your fingertips, can you believe? In the Bible it's written that your hands will speak. The description of these days is that your hands will speak. Why not people go and find out what does it happen? How can your hands speak? This is what happens, that on your fingertips you start feeling and understanding what is reality, what is beauty, what is joy, what is love. This is the left side which we get, and ultimately with these left side problems we get physical pains. It's very painful to have left sided problems. It's very, very painful. The pain cannot be explained, no one can understand, nobody can cure it, you can't tell anyone, and people think that you are fussing, they give you psychological treatments, You just don't understand why this pain is within you. And this pain comes to you from left side, the subconscious. Beyond the subconscious is the collective subconscious. And this collective subconscious is the one where whatever is created from the beginning up to today in the creation is within you. And once you go to the subconscious, you just get lost there. You are so overpowered by this power of subconscious that it is beyond you to understand it, beyond you to get out of it, and beyond you to not to succumb to it. And it goes on increasing. Like I asked some people, why did you go on doing it? When you knew that you were not doing it, somebody else was doing it, still why did you continue to do it? They said, Mother, we were under a blanket. It was darkness. We didn't know where we were moving. And we were just going on and on and on. And as I told you last time, feeling guilty is the biggest blockade. It's the biggest blockade. Because once you start feeling guilty, that the center on the left gets blocked and it's very difficult. And you don't know why you are feeling guilty. All the time you are feeling guilty, but you don't know why you are feeling guilty. Why these ideas of guilt are coming to you. That this feeling of guilt keeps you away from joy, from enjoying anything, from being spontaneous. Why? And this explains why we sometimes are miserable for nothing. Actually, God has not created us to be miserable. He has made us so beautifully, so carefully. He has created us with such love and compassion not to make us feel miserable, not for anything. He doesn't give us any diseases, no problems. But we have done these things to ourselves by going to extremes on the left or the right. As I am today talking about only on the left, I would say that to feel miserable for nothing at all is also wrong, is being unjust to yourself. The people who are left-sided must know that they are the spirit, that they are that beauty which has to come, which has to express itself, that they are not the people who have to suffer all the time and to live like miserable people. They are not. But because they take so much upon themselves, bear so much upon themselves, they become like that. And to avoid that bearing up, they may take to some other habits. You see, many people take to alcohol also for reason because they can't bear the pangs of life. They can't bear. That's why they take to. But once the spirit is awakened within you, you become so strong. You become so joyous, so spontaneous that all these things drop on. All those things, so-called diseases, so-called habits, just drop. And you become a new blooming personality. Now, the basics of having this center within you, you can blame God for that. Why did He give us these centers on the left-hand side? What was the need? He should not have given us these left-sided ones, so we would have been just in the center to go. But the trouble is, the human beings have to know in their own freedom how to deal with themselves. They have to learn little hard way, the wisdom. They have to know by going to extremes, they have suffered. They have to realize it. Because if they have to become truly, absolutely free, they have to rise in their wisdom. If they are not wise people, then they cannot enter into the kingdom of God, because they will be abandoned people. Say, people who are abandoned, who don't understand any laws and regulations, if you get them in England, we'll have to put them in jail. In the same way, human beings who have not got that wisdom within themselves, through sufferings only one learns. But we should not ask for suffering. When we ask for sufferings, we are asking actually for mistakes to begin with. How will you suffer if you do not commit mistakes? So when we ask for sufferings, we are committing mistakes. So what we should ask for is nothing but our spirit. And if you ask for your spirit, it is your own, and you have to get it. It is in your own right that you are going to get it. It's no way that I'm obliging you or doing something special for you. It's all there. You are like a light which is just to be enlightened, because I am an enlightened light. And you become an enlightened light, and you can enlighten other lights also. It's very simple. If you become an enlightened light, you can enlighten others. You don't have to bother about anything else there. You become an enlightened light yourself. That's the point. It is all there. It is all your own. You have to just have it. It is as simple as that. There is nothing very complicated as these people make it, or anything that these philosophers have put before you. Nothing of the kind. It's very simple. It is within you. It is spontaneous. It is a living process. As in living process you have become human beings, you are going to become superhuman beings. It's absolutely spontaneous. You can't pay for it. How can you pay? I mean, an absurdity. If it is a living process, how can you pay? How much do you pay to the tree to grow up? I mean, in anything living, do we pay anything? How much do we pay our nose to breathe? Can we pay for it? It's absurd. It's ridiculous. The way we pay for it, we cannot. It's a living process. You have to become, an egg has to become a chick. Now, how much do you pay to an egg to become a chick? Or how much does an egg pay to the mother for becoming a chicken? It's that ridiculous. But we never understand that living things are so spontaneous. We never see living things. We live with matter, with the dead, not with the living things. If you start watching a tree, you start watching a flower, how it becomes a fruit. You can't even watch because it's done so slowly. You can't even watch a flower becoming a fruit. Suddenly you find all coming up. Like when I came to London from India, I found all the trees were bare. Absolutely like dry sticks. Absolutely like dry sticks. Within a week, what I find is the green coming up. Within the second week, it was all lush. Can't believe it. We never even notice. We take it for granted. It's happening. How does it happen? It's a miraculous thing. If you see, it is miraculous. How these flowers, for example, the particular flowers are only on a particular tree, others are on another tree. How does it happen? Who chooses them? Who puts them in proper shape? Who organizes all that? And this is what one has to realize. And that is the all-pervading power of God that does all the living work. And once you become that, the spirit, then this power starts flowing through. You feel the power through you, as Christ was touched and he said some power has gone to someone. Like that. You just become a medium of that power flowing. But you are empowered to maneuver it, to manage it, to understand it. You know completely about it. You know how to give it. You know how to work it out. You know how to cure others, cure yourself. You know the complete working of your machinery. Apart from that, you get the powers to overcome all the problems of your own machinery also. It's so fantastic. The whole thing sounds very fantastic because we have never seen this before. But to us it doesn't sound fantastic when we see all these flowers suddenly turning into fruits. It doesn't sound. But we see human beings turning into fruits. Then it sounds very fantastic. How can that be? It has never happened before. Only one person would get realization, and it was such a difficult thing and nobody got it. How is it today? I say it is the blossom time which is being promised, which has been already prophesied. Even a great poet in your country, William Blake, has prophesied. He said these times will come when men of God will become prophets, and these prophets will have power to make other prophets. I mean, nobody could be more precise than Blake, I tell you. He was so great to say this will happen, and this is what we have to expect when we go to anybody for seeking. Have you become prophets? And what is a prophet? Prophet is a person who is a collective being and who knows all about it. Who is the master? We call prophet a master. And that's what you have to become, the master. And that mastery is very simple because it's all built within you. Just it has to be connected. Like anything like a television set is to be connected to the mains. It's all built in, it's there. It just starts working. In the same way, you are that. You are that. Just it is to be connected. Whatever may be your caste, community, race, nationality, shapes, heights, anything, whatever it may be, makes no difference because all of you have got this great thing within you, this power of a rebirth. And you are to be born again, and you will be born again. Why not today? There's nothing to get angry because people get angry sometimes because they don't like anybody telling them about something of which they themselves are feeling bad. They don't like it. For example, if there's a drunkard and he drinks too much, he's an alcoholic, he doesn't like it, and he feels bad, and if somebody tells him, even in the most gentlest way, that you better give up drinking, he doesn't like it. But what I am saying is not that you should not do it. I said it will happen that it just drops out. I don't say you don't do this or don't do that, but it just happens. And you must first understand what is the problem and how the problem is overcome. That's why I have to talk. Otherwise, there's no need to talk about it or it just works out. It just works out because you are just ready to have it and you just get it. I don't do anything. I'm just a catalyst, I should say, that it works out. I hope you'll ask me some questions about it first before we go in for any realization. If you have any questions, please ask. You must ask.